Saludos, Dios te bendiga, me llamo Will, and I built this startup, MotosChat, and it's different, and it's viral, and it's easy enough that it's beating the massive incumbents already in certain markets. And the whole point of this presentation is to prove that to you. So by the end of it, you'll take this company as seriously as I do. So why believe? First of all, I have experience in exactly this. Please Google me, Daxi Will Gallo on Google, and you'll see I'm 32 now, but when I was 24, I was the fourth hire of a company, a traditional ride-sharing app in Malaysia called Daxi. We built it from nothing. I was the CTO in charge of building the first versions of it. And within 3.5 years, a little bit after I left, it was sold to the biggest regional airline called AirAsia. So I have experience in it, but now with MotosChat, I built something totally different. And so it's a new way of even doing apps. So you'll see, basically, it'll be one message in apps that people already have installed on their phone, like WhatsApp, especially internationally, and then Facebook Messenger for American and Western audiences, even SMS messages. But what you're doing is you're sending one message that shares your location, and that sends it to the MotosChat servers that has routing algorithms that sends it to the fleet of drivers, but basically someone comes and picks you up. You send one message on an app you already have, and someone comes and picks you up. I mean, it couldn't be easier. These are all the steps that you deal with every day with Uber. And these, on the other side, are the steps involved in MotosChat. One message, and you get picked up. That's it. So what makes this very different from the existing ride-sharing companies? So basically, because we're tapping into to the infrastructure, and like in the developing world in so many of these countries, basically WhatsApp plus WeChat, monthly active users, 4.3 billion people. There's 8 billion people in the world. But all of the ride-sharing apps put together, don't even equal 1 billion, don't even equal 750 million. So we're talking about 3.6 billion that we call the MotosChat low-hanging fruit, which are the people that are already online. They have phones, they have internet, they're using WhatsApp part of their day-to-day life, or WeChat. And those are the markets that we're breaking into, the new grounds that MotosChat has found a formula to break into that these companies haven't. And I mean, they spend up to $7 billion annually because they're doing the traditional marketing and it's not working. So how do we do that? We have a new approach. The DNA of us as a company is built around physical marketing. So, we start, when we launch in the city, we start with an office, a satellite office, super affordable. For example, we're paying $84 a month. You can see in our, due diligence documents for our first office in Puerto Plata. And from there, the physical marketing campaign. So we're able to reach these drivers, go out and meet them, where they are, and get them signed up onto our platform. And that's how we get into cities and really dominate cities that don't trust Uber for whatever reason. They see it as a faceless corporation that they can't even talk to anybody at, and it takes 30% of income. So we're completely different. We found a formula to reach these billions of people that is not being used. And so it's a massive global problem. It's not like a niche market. I mean, there's countries. I grew up in Kenya. I did my childhood there, and then I did 4 years in Malaysia, and I'm on my 7th year in the Dominican Republic. So I'm here to tell you, with whatever experience I can claim, that this chart is absolutely true. There's countries in the world. You see America on the left-hand side here. They're like, the majority of households own their own cars. But there's so many countries in the world, like you see, it gets into 10%, even as low as 5% of the households own their own cars. So it's a massive market of people. The reality for so many billions of people around the world is, they use cash, and then that's the biggest part. And the second is like they get off, for example, they get off of the metro to go to work every day, or get on the metro, and then when they get that last mile to go home, they're waiting in line in in a line like this. And then on the other side of the equation, the taxi drivers themselves are waiting in line. So there's a huge routing issue that technology can fill, that we're doing with MotosChat. That all these people are offline, even though these apps exist. It's just the infrastructure in so many countries is broken and needs to be updated. So we're the app that are totally targeted on this. We've already launched in our first country. Within our first 2.5 months of being public, we got 100 plus drivers and 100 plus passengers, over 400 rides, which you can see in our admin panel. And we've been partnered with the presidente of the Motorcycle Taxi Union of the city of Puerto Plata, Alex Cabrera, and so we signed an exclusivity contract with him. We've done the launch. So the moat, basically, so we call ourselves Uber of the unbanked, or ride sharing for the rest of the world, because we're focusing on these markets that are absolutely left behind, borderline ignored by apps like Uber or Lyft or these types of things. Of course, we have physical infrastructure that creates a physical moat where we like navigated their licenses and the government regulations of they have to go through so many steps to be in these different countries. So that's a physical moat that we have that you can't just replicate with AI in 2 seconds. But bigger picture market wise is like there's so many steps to be able to use cash. Like on Uber, in many places you have to like register a debit card first before they even allow you to use cash. It's like a backup payment method, or it's just all these. So many of the ride sharing apps that exist are just built around the West or for banked people, and there's no like super hyper efficient peer-to-peer type of like ride sharing network where it's just easy to get onto. No app, you just send a message. We're built around the infrastructure of the remaining billions of people who are left behind, and we're getting those people. So, and of course the exclusivity contracts, things like that when we go to each country. So we're building something that is absolutely protectable, something that no matter what Gemini 7 comes out, you can't get into these markets because these companies, even with their funding, they're not able to. So the proof's in that. So fundraising. So we are fundraising. We're looking to expand into 2 more cities. So we're in Puerto Plata, and we're looking to get into the capital, Santo Domingo, which is massive. It's the biggest city in the Caribbean. We're looking to establish a huge presence there in Punta Cana. So we're really focusing on dominating our first country first, which is Dominican Republic, and then Colombia would be our second, and then Peru would be our third. And we have a 5-year plan you can see here of all the countries we've picked to get into step by step. But this seed round is to really focus on DR, become absolutely profitable, and get to a whole new level as a company. And that would allow us to have our office team, our 3 offices, with the full staff, and then a marketing force that could get us to 12,000 drivers within the first year, which would be 1.8 million in revenue based off of how many rides average amount of rides a driver does. 50,000 of which is for Santo Domingo, which is the capital, is the largest economy, and that would be our minimum raise for this round to go through. That would be more of like an angel size deal. And we have 10,000 committed for that, but contingent on the rest being raised. And then if we do a more traditional VC type of deal, which would be 100,000, then that would get us into Punta Cana too, which has the second largest economy. And now, so for the return, this is based on 100,000. So these are if you get into the final page of our due diligence documents, you can see all of the detailed KPI pro forma, projections, like granular detail. But here it's just a quick review. So the EBITDA estimate for each year, based off of the growth, based off the employees, everything's itemized there. And then the valuation of the company. Google says ride-sharing companies command a 10x multiple, but we set it at 5 just for the estimates here. So that gives you the EBITDA valuation, and then years 3, 4, and 5 based off of a sale. So just really quick, easy to grasp numbers here, but please do read the detailed Excel we have. And then years 3 to 5, where we start considering offers to sell. So there's 3 categories of companies that would absolutely buy something like MotosChat. The first would be the communications companies, so Facebook, like WeChat, or even like Verizon for the SMSs or the messages themselves, because they have absolutely shown interest in buying, becoming the super app. Like Elon Musk buying Twitter, he wants to become the super app that has all the functionality in one thing. And Facebook M Assistant is also another example. So these companies absolutely make acquisitions to buy companies to integrate all the services into their messaging apps. Just like the one I've been a part of with Daxi and Air Asia. It tried to be this super app of transport. The second one would be the logistic companies. We can get into that. DHL, FedEx, they're expanding into these markets and they're struggling with the end-to-end getting the package from the courier to the house, and something like MotosChat with the GPS recognition system can absolutely be valuable for that. And the third, the most obvious, is the ride-sharing companies that are tangentially in a lot of these continents, but they're struggling to reach those last billions of people. So and with certain companies and with their reach, with their user base, they could absolutely take something like MotosChat at even, let's say, $1 billion, but their end goal could be to take it into the multi hundreds of billions, even past something where Uber could be, because of just the virality and it's frictionless for the users to get new people. They're just sending a message to another phone number, and so it's absolutely, even beyond the initial purchase price, it's a huge value proposition based off of just the formula that we have and the traction. So thank you very much. That says we are MotosChat in Spanish. We have traction. We're absolutely connected with our drivers. We're building trust. We have something defendable here, and it's valuable. And I'm 100% into it. And I need someone to believe in me and believe in us, because we will absolutely make this happen. Even if we just bootstrap it forever, it's like we're dedicated. It's the people love it, and we're going to continue making it. So thank you very much for your time. Adios.
And a very special thank you to our advisors, Dave, Verdi, and Steve, and everyone at the Accelerate PV Accelerator.